Greetings. My name is Preveen Nair and I am the District Librarian and Curator of the District Grand Lodge of Madras. In the next 45 minutes or so, I'll be giving you the history of Freemasonry in the city of Madras. Trust you will find this informative and enjoyable. Brethren, this presentation is in two parts. The first part is about the journey of English Freemasonry from England to Madras Presidency until the formation of the Lodge of Perfect Unanimity in 1786. The second part is about all the lodges formed under English Constitution, including the places of the meeting in Madras city. Part 1, 1717 to 1786. In England, at that time, there were two rival Grand Lodges. The Premier Grand Lodge, which was established in 1717, and the Grand Lodge of Most Ancient and Honorable Fraternity of Free and Accepted Masons. This was also referred as the Ancient Grand Lodge. The word modern does not refer to the age or period, but to the kind of rituals practiced. The ancient believed that the ritual was more close to the original tenets of the craft. The modern or regular lodges omitted, modified, or neglected many practices which were time honored and essential. The ancient Grand Lodge was also called Athol Grand Lodge, as the third and fourth Duke of Athol ruled more years of its 63 years of its existence. On 27 December 1813, these two Grand Lodges united to form the United Grand Lodge of England. Brethren, I will deviate from Masonic history to heraldry and talk about the coat of arms of United Grand Lodge of England. The coat of arms of United Grand Lodge of England are partially based on the arms of the Premier Grand Lodge and the arms of the Athol Grand Lodge. On the left part of the United Grand Lodge of England coat of arms, we have three castles or tower, a chevron with extending compasses. The right part of the United Grand Lodge of England coat of arms has Athol's emblem of four evangelists, that is Mark, Luke, Matthew, and John's emblem, lion, bull, man, and eagle respectively. We have the ark with Hebrew word meaning holiness to the Lord, which was also the motto of the ancient. On either sides are the cherubs as supporters, which symbolizes divinity. The motto Ode Vide Take, which means hear, see, be silent. The coat of arms of the District Grand Lodge of Madras, formerly known as the Provincial Grand Lodge, has been derived from the right half of the United Grand Lodge of England's coat of arms, which in turn represents the Premier Grand Lodge. The dominant colors are red, silver, and gold. Red symbolizes military strength, silver represents peace and sincerity, gold, generosity and elevation of the mind. The three castles or towers stand for safety, vigilance, and solidarity. The chevron is symbolic of protection. The flame denotes zealousness, dove, love, peace, as well as Holy Spirit. The helmet stands for royalty or nobility. Bengal tiger stands for fierceness and valor, and the extending compass is Masonic. And the motto, Foedere et religione tenemur, which means we are united by treaty or pact and religion or believe in God. Now let's get back to history. The study of origin and early growth of Freemasonry is always an entrancing subject. It is interesting to see that the Freemasonry entered India within 11 years of the existence of the Premier Grand Lodge. The first fixed lodge was in Bengal at Fort Williams in 1728 and was called East India Arms number 72. And the coat of arms of this lodge was similar to the coat of arms of East India Company. East India Company had British armed forces always by the side. Many of them were Masons. Masons from all constitution, that is English, Scottish, and Irish. In fact, it was Irish and Scottish rather than English who propagated Freemasonry in India as traveling or military lodges. Before we go into the history of Freemasonry on the coast of Coromandel, it will not be right if I do not mention personal brother Charles Herbert Malden and his book A History of Freemasonry on the Coast of Coromandel, a must read for Masons interested in our history, accurate and in detail, because he was an active Mason in our district. He was initiated in Faith, Hope and Charity number 1285 in 1887 and later joined John Miller Lodge in 1888 and Lodge Mysore in 1889. He was the founder and first master of Lodge Coorg number 2576. He was exalted in School of Plato in 1888 and later joined Chapter Madras 1906. Local Secretary for Quator Coronati, South India from 1889 and founder and editor of Madras Masonic Journal which later became Indian Masonic Review. Here we have a map by Worship Brother Malden showing the location of early Masonic lodges. Places marked in red had active lodges when the map was published. That's in 1895. And the black marks the places of past lodges. A closer examination of the map reveals that the location of the early lodges was proximity to factory or military establishment. In those days, a factory was nothing but a trading post and warehouse to store their exportable goods. East India Company established their first factory in Masulipatam in 1611. Famous for Coromandel textiles, particularly muslin fabric and indigo dyes. Later, the East India Company moved near Pulicat to a place called Armugan or Armugam. Pulicat was then under Dutch control till 1781. A Masonic lodge existed in Pulicat, and the evidence for this is found from a gate post discovered there much later. Here we see a sketch which was published in a Masonic journal in 1800. Unfortunately, this structure does not exist. In 1640, East India Company started another factory in Madras and named it Fort St. George. Fort St. George became the power center for British interest, which also included Masonic interest. Brethren, those were the days when meeting of lodges were held in difficult circumstances. There were battles and other issues to be dealt with, main reason why Masonic records suffered. It was only after 1750 that the East India Company became stable. As early as 1752, one lodge was established. Unfortunately, there is no location or date. However, records do speak of at least 5 more lodges formed at that time in our district. As we can see here, the list of regular or modern lodges warranted on the Coromandel coast. As we can see on the screen, we have a list of the first regular or modern lodges warranted on the Coromandel coast. As we can see, the first lodge was named as a lodge at Madras. We have no idea where and when it was formed, but we do know that lodge was warranted on 1752. If you look on the right of this column, it mentions that this lodge was alive in 1740 and it was numbered 222. This particular lodge was numbered 157 in 1755 and this was erased in 1790. The second lodge was named Lodge number 1 at Madras. Again, we have no idea when or where it was. It was warranted in 1763 and was erased in 1777. The third lodge was warranted in Elluru in 1765, which is very close to Machilipatnam. Fourth lodge was at Trichy in 1765. It was in this lodge the first Indian was initiated, Brother Umdat ul Umra, the Nawab of Carnatic, in 1775. Here we see a list of Athol or the ancient lodges warranted on the Coromandel coast. We have 4 lodges which was warranted But we'll focus on the first lodge, which was warranted on 1768 and numbered 152. Initially, the Athol lodges were more active, but around 1780, the Athol lodges were in decline. One of the main issues was the lack of communication between the local and the Grand Lodge of England. That's the Athol Grand Lodge. Athol Lodge number 152 was a very active lodge. Members included prominent East India Company administrators, factors, free merchants, and top army officials. Factors are the one in charge of factory. They had their own temple in Fort St. George. In 1786, the brethren of this Athol Lodge number 152 solicited patronage under the Premier Grand Lodge, and this was speedily granted. Soon, the brethren of ancient and modern met and decided to unite and form a new lodge under the name the Lodge Perfect Unanimity Number 1. Worship Brother Brigadier Matthew Horney, the provincial Grand Master, announced that he would consecrate this new lodge in 2 days. Hence, the Athol Lodge number 152 surrendered the warrant in their last meeting, which was on 5th October 1786. And exactly 2 days later, that is on 7th October 1786, 50 brethren assembled in a Chowdhury Plain town hall and consecrated Lodge Perfect Unanimity number 1. Chowdhury Plain was an area which one covers part of Nungambakam, Roypata and Thousand Light area. This was a historic event in Masonry. It was because the brethren of ancient and modern lodges of our district united 28 years before the union of the ancient and modern Grand Lodges in England. Brethren, here I will deviate once more and talk about the coat of arms of perfect unanimity. The coat of arms of Lodge Perfect Unanimity is based on the coat of arms of the Premier Grand Lodge, which in turn is similar to the London Company of Masons, which was formed around 14th century. But the interesting part is this banner of Lodge of Perfect Unanimity. The design of the banner of Lodge Perfect Unanimity commemorates heraldically the Act of Union of 1786 as it incorporates the arms of ancient and modern. Is this similar to United Grand Lodge of England? This completes the first part of the presentation. Second part of my presentation is about the places of meeting in Madras city. To start with, all we have to do is to follow Lodge Perfect Unanimity. From 1786 to 1794, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity operated from Fort St. George. Though the exact location of Masonic temple is not known, all we know is that it was somewhere in North Street. Here we have a list of lodges which was established or moved from 1786 to 1794 in Madras. We have first a lodge named the Stewards Lodge, which was formed in 1786. This was extinct in 1790 and erased in 1862. Then we have 1786, the same year, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity number 150. And the other two lodges, Lodge of Perfect Harmony and Lodge of Social Friendship, these two lodges were again Athol lodges, which gave up its warrant and got attached to the Grand Lodge of England. Lodge of Perfect Harmony was working from St. Thomas Mount, which later moved to Srirangapatnam, and Lodge Social Friendship was working in Fort St. George and moved to Goel Street, Georgetown. In 1794, Lodge of Solid Friendship, which started in Trichy, moved to St. Thomas Mount. Lodge of Perfect Unanimity, after working for 8 years from Fort St. George, moved to Pantheon Rooms in Pantheon Road, which is now the present Egmore Museum and Kanimala Library. Lodge Perfect Unanimity first meeting was in Pantheon Rooms. First meeting in Pantheon Room was held on 20th November 1794. The Pantheon Room was also shared by the Provincial Grand Lodge of Madras. In 1802, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity met for a time at the house of one Mr. Reed, somewhere in Spurtank Road. In fact, from 1802 to 1826, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity used to move back and forth to Pantheon Rooms and Mr. Reed's house on Spurtank Road. Here is a list of lodges established or moved from 1794 to 1826 in Madras. In 1797, a Lodge of Unity, Peace and Concord was formed, which was initially under Irish Constitution. This was a military lodge attached to the 2nd Battalion. When this lodge arrived in Madras, they sought an English warrant from Provincial Grand Lodge of Madras. This lodge later was attached to Royal Scots and now it meets in England. In 1799, Lodge St. Andrew's Union was formed, which is a military lodge attached to the 19th Regiment of Foot, which was formed in Madras but later moved to Ceylon in 1801, then to Koilon in Kerala, then again went back to Ceylon and later came to Madras and was stationed in different parts of southern India. Finally, going to Sikandrabad. Lord St. Andrew's Union sponsored St. John's Lodge in Sikandrabad. In 1804, Lord's Carnatic military moved to Madras in 1804. Lord's Carnatic military started in Arcot in 1784 and moved to Vellore. Then you have Lodge of Philanthropists, which was formed in 1801 in Scott Brigade, 94th Foot, Madras. In 1810, you had Lodge St. Andrews, which was functioning from Chepauk, Madras. In 1811, Lodge Universal Charity was formed with the warrant of Lodge Strength and Beauty, which was warranted at Vellore and worked till the mutiny in 1806. The warrant of this lodge was the only paper that survived the mutiny, which was later surrendered to the Provincial Grand Lodge, and it was with their warrant the Lodge of Universal Charity was formed in 1811 in Purshovakam. The Brethren of Carnatic military was responsible to start this lodge. Then we have Lodge of United Friendship, which was formed in 1812, Lodge Patrick in 1812 again, Lodge St. David's, which was attached to the 30th Regiment. Then you have in 1817 Lodge of Social and Military Virtues, which again a military lodge which was attached to the 46th Regiment. This was formerly attached to the Irish Constitution and numbered 227. This regiment came to Madras from Australia and got attached to the Provincial Grand Lodge of Madras. This lodge later moved to Vellore, Bellary, Belgaum, and later Kannur and Sikandrabad. This lodge has had some unusual experiences during the earlier years of its existence. They had a Masonic chest which used to travel with them. During American War of Independence, their Masonic chests were taken by the Americans. When General Washington came to know, he directed that a guard of honor should take charge of the chest and return to the 46th Regiment. Again in 1805 in Dominica, the 46th Regiment was attacked by a French force. They again lost the chest. 3 years later, the French government, at the request of their officers, returned the Masonic chest with several other complimentary presents. Interesting, right? In 1826 to 27, when the regiment marched from Kannur to Hyderabad, they lost many brethren, mainly due to cholera. This lodge moved back to England in 1833 and got reattached to the Irish Constitution. This lodge is now in Quebec, in Canada, under the name of Lodge Antiquity. In 1819, another lodge under the name of Lodge of Honor and Humanity was formed, which was again a military lodge attached to the 13th Light Dragon, and lastly, Lodge of Military and Social Friendship, which was formed in 1820 and working from Punamali at Madras. Back to Pantheon Rooms, Madras. This is an article from an old Masonic journal, and it says that on St. John's Day, 1802, a grand ball and banquet were given by the Provincial Grand Lodge of Madras and Lodge Perfect Unanimity combined to more than 300 persons at the Pantheon Rooms. The company were accommodated for supper in large tents, which were erected in the compound, while the dance took place inside the building. The town band and a guard of 50 men were in attendance. A special invitation was sent to the Lord Clive, who was in Madras, and the entertainment appears to have a great success. Exactly 215 years later, August 2017, the District Grand Lodge of Madras presented a Mozart music show as part of the third centenary celebration of the United Grand Lodge of England at the same venue. After 32 years, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity shifted to Fort St. George College Hall, which is inside the Directorate of Public Instruction or DPI. College Road is named after this college. This building is still there. The Masonic meeting here used to clash with other general public functions like dramas, public speeches, etc. Hence, the membership declined during this period. Here is a list of lodges established from 1826 to 1839. We have only one lodge which was formed. It is Lodge Armenia number 685, which was formed in 1837. It was working from Armenian Street in Madras. The members of Armenian community in Madras, mainly traders dealing with textiles, precious stones, silks, and spices, established Lodge Armenia number 685. Unfortunately, was erased in 4th June 1862. In 1838, perfect unanimity had to vacate this hall. Fortunately, by this time the membership increased, thanks to Worship Master, Worship Brother John Cornack Morris, which included a VIP member, Worship Brother Lord Elphinstone, the Governor of Madras, who later became the Provincial Grand Master. He showed great interest in Masonic activity, and the dreams of the Brethren of Perfect Unanimity of owning their own place was fulfilled in 1839. A property opposite to Colonel Capers' house in Marina was finalized. Colonel Capers' house is now Queen Mary's College. This building at present is a part of the Tamil Nadu Police Headquarters. The cornerstone was laid by Worship Brother Elphinstone in 24 June 1839, and the temple was built at the cost of Rs 24,000. After 15 years of working from this place, the brethren found this place unsuitable, apparently because it was too far from their home and place of work. Moreover, a large sum of money were needed for its upkeep, including municipality charges, which were high. List of lodges established or moved from 1839 to 1856. During this year, we have only one lodge which was formed in Madras, that is in the name of Lodge Pilgrims of Light. It was warranted in 1849. Brethren of Universal Charity were responsible to form this lodge. This lodge 12 years later was erased. Till 1856, this was home for Lodge of Perfect Unanimity. After the last meeting on 15th January 1856, the premises was given for rent to one Mr. Burgess for Rs 100 and they moved to Mount Road. Present, this photo is for reference. The exact location is not known. What we know is that the place belonged to one Brother Williams, who was a member of Lodge Pilgrims of Light, which was also working from this place. Unfortunately, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity had to vacate this place because Brother William had to sell this property. Lodge Perfect Unanimity then shifted to Veperi Masonic Hall. Here is an old map of Madras. Another picture from Madras from Fort St. George, the same period. Our records do not reveal exact location of the Masonic Hall. We know that the Provincial Grand Lodge of Madras used to function from Veperi. They even had a Masonic Hall where Lodge Perfect Unanimity was working from, and later Lodge Pitt MacDonald and Carnatic Lodge was consecrated. Let me zoom in on this map to the Veperi area. As brethren, can we see a Masonic Hall on the map? This is the EVK Sampath Road and Dinatandi is here. This place was exactly opposite, directly opposite to the present Veperi police station. At present, there is an apartment there. Here is a list of lodges which was established from 1861 to 1884. The first lodge, Lodge Mount number 926, which was formed in 1862, used to meet in St. Thomas Mount. Lodge Mount was the only other lodge having their own Masonic Hall in St. Thomas Mount. This building was later demolished for Madras Airport. Then you have Lodge Pitt MacDonald number 1198, which was formed in 1867. Lodge Pitt MacDonald was named out of respect for the memory of Marshal Brother Colonel W. Pitt MacDonald, who was Provincial Grand Master from 1858 to 1867. Next lodge which was formed was John Miller Lodge, which was formed in 1879, again in memory of Marshal Brother John Miller, who was the District Grand Master. In 1883, there were a dozen Indian Freemasons in Madras city, spread over 4 lodges. A growing need was felt for formation of a lodge by native brethren where they could have more opportunity for developing themselves and disseminating advanced knowledge of the craft. Brethren of Lodge Universal Charity petitioned for a lodge named Carnatic Lodge number 2031, a lodge for natives by natives. Over years, Lodge Carnatic's membership list reads like who's who of Madras Presidency. This is a picture of Carnatic Lodge with their first masters and warden. If this was taken on October 1883, this may be the only picture of Vepiri Masonic Hall. We know Lodge of Perfect Unanimity shifted to another building called Cosgrave Home, which they took possession from 1st July 1872. Lodge Universal Charity was a subtenant and later they were joined by Lodge Pitt MacDonald. As per the records of the Carnatic Lodge, shortly after being consecrated, they shifted from Vepiri Masonic Hall to one Jagannath Mudaliar's property on General Collins Road. This is a photograph of the Cosgrave home, though I could not take a picture from inside. But we can go to their website and show you, let me show you the building in the website. Back in Marina, for past 8 years, the Madras Municipal Police were the tenants of the Lodge Perfect Unanimity's Marina property. Fortunately, after the lease expired in 1873, the police department bought the property for 20,000 rupees. Let me show you the places of meeting of John Miller Lodge. It is quite interesting to note that the most members were mainly from Royapuram, mostly employed by the Madras Railway Company. Marshal Brother Arthur Morrell Saunders, who was one of the founder member, was agent and manager of Madras Railway Company and the DGM from 1884. Due to his influence, the John Miller Lodge was consecrated in the Royapuram railway station premises. As we all know, the Royapuram railway station was the first railway station built in South India, 1856. Here's a photograph of Royapuram railway station, how it looks now. And on the left, you have a sketch of Royapuram inaugural date. And on the left is the headquarters of the Royapuram railway station. And the building or the headquarters of Royapuram railway station before it was demolished. Initially, John Miller Lodge used to meet at the Sailors Biden home and later shifted to a street next to St. Peter's Church and later to Esplanade in front of the lighthouse in Paris Corner. Met for few years opposite to Old Lighthouse, which is in Georgetown or the Paris Corner. This is a photograph of building opposite to Lighthouse. Back in Veperi, brethren of Lodge Perfect Unanimity was still sharing premises. The feeling of independence was strong, and the thought of rupees 20,000 lying there waiting to be used was almost too much for the brethren of Perfect Unanimity. After searching suitable sites, they finally decided to buy property at the junction of General Patter's Road and Mount Road. This photo was taken around 1961. In 1883, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity purchased 100 rounds belonging to one Gareth the tailor. 100 grounds of land with this building. Sadly, this building was demolished few years back. Last to occupy was Pioneer Laundry. On 7th January 1884, Lodge Perfect Unanimity had their first meeting here after basic renovation. After 28 years, Lodge of Perfect Unanimity was again working under their own roof. At that time, Lodge Universal Charity, Pitt MacDonald, and John Miller Lodge continued to work from Veperi Masonic Hall, and Carnatic Lodge shifted from Veperi to Mount Road, the same place where Lodge of Perfect Unanimity was in 1856. That is the Brother William's room, only that the owner of that building changed. As years passed, this building in Mount Road proved unsatisfactory as it came with its own problem. Firstly, this was not built for Masonic purposes. There were no proper ventilation, and during monsoon, the roof used to leak. Renovation expenses and government charges added to the problem. Soon, the Brethren of Perfect Unanimity was forced to give a part of this building on rent, even allowing a person to grow fruits and allow his cattle to graze for rupees 8 per month. In 1884, Perfect Unanimity had to sell 45 grounds, which was purchased by W. E. Smith and Co., a company dealing in pharmaceutical and medical equipment. This picture was taken from Higginbotham site. We can see the W. A. Smith building, the Bharat Insurance building, and this is where the Masonic temple stood before. We don't know how it used to look at those days, but we surely know how it used to look from the other side at that time. Here is a list of lodges established or moved from 1884 to 1917. Lodge St. George number 2532 was formed in 1894 at the Madras Freemasons Hall. In 1910, Lodge Justicia was formed, and members of this lodge restricted to judges, magistrate, and members of legal profession. In 1905, District Grand Lodge of Madras stepped in and took over Mount Road Masonic Hall. Masonic activity then increased, and as years passed with the growth of Freemasonry, this building was eventually considered to be inadequate and unsatisfactory for our purpose. The Mount Road property was sold, that's a balance 55 ground for 87,000 in 1917, and a land was purchased next to Chesney Hall off Commander-in-Chief Road, now Etiraj Saleh. Lodges of our district shifted from Mount Road and used to work from Chesney Hall, which was not quite suitable. The dream of brethren of our district to build our own common Masonic hall was fulfilled. Designing, budgeting, and funding took time. 8 years later, in 26 February 1923, the chief cornerstone was laid by the Honorable Wellington, the Governor of Madras. As per record, one building was made for Masonic meeting. Inside the present premises, where a lodge meeting was held till completion of the Freemasons Hall. My guess is that the present auditorium would be that building. The first meeting in this temporary hall took place on 7th February 1919. It was Lodge Perfect Unanimity. So, Lodge Perfect Unanimity has been meeting here for past 101 years. After 2 years, on 27th February 1925, His Excellency Lord Caution, the Governor of Madras, inaugurated the present Freemasons Hall. Right Worshipful A.Y.G. Campbell was our DGM. Photograph of the building from the Kuam, and this is how the building looks now. List of lodges established from 1923. Madras Masters Lodge was formed in 1922 and was numbered 4487, and in 1928 Archibald Campbell Lodge number 4998. Archibald Campbell Lodge number 499 was the last lodge formed under English Constitution in Madras city. This is my last slide showing the names of 10 active lodges out of 35 lodges formed under English Constitution in Madras city. Lodges marked in asterisks are now at present under Grand Lodge of India. Brethren, I have compiled this presentation from details available on the net and from records available with the district. I am sure much more than what I have presented today is available out there, and hopefully I have covered some important details today. This is the end of the presentation. I will see you all with more such talks on the history of the rest of the district and their connections. Good day.